Hello and how are you doing? Welcome to Preface Kimau Youth Online. This is a show that tackles matters concerning the youth, be it career, business, art, anything, politics, leadership. And today I am excited because we are starting a new series called Youth and Politics. And before I start, I'll have to introduce my guest. My name is Shell Njogu. Let us hear from our guest today, Mr. Paul.
Thank you so much for having me, Shamida. I appreciate. My name is Paul Kihiro. I love the Lord Jesus Christ. I work with the students. Generally, that's what I do on a daily basis. And I'm here to also fellowship with us on this wonderful and very current and very relevant topic about youth and politics. And I hope we are going to be blessed together. Thank you.
Yes, and our topic today is youth and current affairs. It's amazing because I don't know whether you know these statistics now that you work with students, but most of us don't watch news. We don't like news. We think they are boring and they are not trendy. And as I was researching on this topic, it was very interesting to me looking at young people who were there before when we were fighting, or when our forefathers were fighting for freedom. And I was looking at a person like Tom Mboya. Tom Mboya has achieved so much within as a young person. He died at 38. 38, you're still young. And he's the reason he was a chairman in when it comes to allowing people to more Africans to work together, to work in even white offices. He is the reason also we have Barack Obama, because he's the one who pushed for Africans to go and study in overseas. And in that moment, there was Barack Obama Sr. who went out to study in the US. And that's why we had Barack Obama as the president. And he's also the reason that we had Wangari Maathai, because she also went to study during that time. And also, it's not only in Kenya, but other countries in around East Africa, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Tanzania, Uganda. And he was a very young person at the age of from 28 to 31. He did so much. And I was thinking the same when it comes to right now. We are in this deep of corruption. And the question is, do we have such youths who can fight for our country the same way Tom Mboya did?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very, very good example of a man who really believed in his country, a patriot. And actually, as you talk about Tom Mboya, I'm reminded of J.M. Kariuki, who was a contemporary of Tom Mboya. And I think they were actually age mates. They were very young. And both of them died young in their early days of politics. And they were both of them fighting for the well-being and welfare of the country. And like J.M. Kariuki died because he was fighting the locals, the Africans. Once the white man left, the leaders and the power that be then was actually now, soliciting for themselves wealth, land, and all that. And J.M. stood up against them, and that was how he met his death. And so, as you're saying, it's true. There are young people who did all these things, and the question is, what about our time? What about this generation? I mean, where are we? What are we doing? What can we be counted for? In fact, somebody asked a question, 100 years from now, what will there be about you? Can the world remember you? And on what basis? And as you said, I think one of a place to start is, how much are we informed about our current affairs, what is going on in the country? You realize, as you said, it is true. When I speak to students, I ask them questions. A simple question like, who is the like say the Minister for Tourism. And you realize a good number of them have no idea, no clue. In fact, I mentioned it was in the news and the ABCD, and I say, how many saw that news? I asked that question last Sunday. I was preaching in one of the universities, and I realized there were very few people who had heard that story. So the first place, or the first place step to take to ensure that we know what is going on. Apparently, and in a very interesting way, most of the young people today are always in the social media.
True.
And in the social media, there is all manner of news and information, but they are very selective on what they consume in the social media. And the idea, or what I would like to challenge us, is that we look for the information that matters. Like yesterday there were by-elections. I don't know how many know who won, which party won. In that by-election that happened yesterday in a place called Matungu. And now another ward in Nakuru called London. I don't even know that there is a London in Kenya. So we need to start there. We know what is happening. Watch news, read news on the web. Go to Twitter. Twitter is a very place where you can, at one glance, you can tell so many things that are happening, in the course of the day or the last 2 days. So you don't be so selective. Don't go for things that will just excite you, about your friends, updating their status and all those things. Also, see what is affecting you, because the politics of the day, whether you like it or not, will affect you. BBI, for instance, upende usipende. Whatever happens with the BBI will affect you, either negatively or positively. So we have to ensure we inform ourselves with what is happening in the country and in the world, indeed.
True. And how do we move to that place, and also when we get informed, how will we push for change now? Because I think then they were fighting for the country's freedom. They wanted to be free from the white colonialism, and right now I think the biggest, it's corruption. How do we fight for that now?
I think it's a long journey that starts with a small step, which I call your personal life. As a young person in university or college or high school, how are you living your life? Are you corrupt? Corruption, by the way, is not just the grand one that we hear and read in the newspapers about billions of money that has been, wasted and gone to some weird and fictitious companies and organizations like KEMSA and all that. But even cheating in an exam, mwa Kenya, the one you ama kupatia mwenzako that paper akufanyie, kuna mchopi mnakaa naye hapo, karatasi yako unampasia na kufanyia, then anakupasia na kurudishia. Now, when you do that, you're corrupt. So if you don't deal with that at a personal level, there's no way you can deal with that problem, at a grand level of a national or even a local. You can't. So start with our own issues. Make sure that you who is trying to fight those things, you are not part of them. In fact, Jesus said, physician, go heal yourself first. So if you have an issue with the corruption, you as a person, how can you fight? So we start there. The moment we work on ourselves individually, then we are able to go to our little spheres of influence, friends, like telling the people that are close to you, the friends that you always communicate with on social media, Twitter or Facebook, those guys, start influencing them and telling them there is this thing that is in me, there is this passion that I have in my heart, and this is what I think we should do, and I feel things should be handled in this country. So start talking to those ones, because when you talk to a few who can probably talk to you nicely or freely talk to you their minds, you are able now to even get a wider perspective of how people view this thing, and that way your scope is widened, and you're able now to deal with the issues, the same issue with a wider congregation of people. And so go to the small spheres, if you're in college, amongst your college mates or your roommates in Campo, wherever, and then, or even in church. And then from there, you can even vie. I have some friends, like one of my friends right now as we speak, he's actually preparing the ground to vie to be an MCA. I know a guy who just left university the other day, a friend of mine. He's now an MC as we speak. He went to the village and he started influencing the village and talking to them. He told them, "No, we need a fresh mind. We need a new way of perspective of looking at things." And he won the position. So that's another way, and that's a higher level. But we start low with ourselves, our circle of friends, and then our churches and probably schools or campus, and then we go to the next one. And from there, who knows what God will do next?
Yes, and if I can get two things, one is that we need to live it, to live what we are preaching, because I think we can't have confidence to tell someone you shouldn't do that while I'm doing it. Something in me will pull me back.
Yes.
Yeah, and
it's called lack of moral authority. Yes, you have no moral authority to tell somebody don't steal, and you yourself, even the hand you're pointing the other person with is holding a stolen item.
Yes.
You don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to be a change ambassador, I have to lead by example.
And to be the change yourself.
Yeah, to be the change myself. And the other part is having a platform. I don't really need a platform or to be this person. I get you can vibe for MCA, but still I don't have to have this title of a leader, of a certain leader, for me to create change around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. And just to add something there, I know I met a friend the other day, and she told me how they came together as friends who are educated from their locality. From different, those who went to different schools and colleges, wale wako Kenya, Africa, outside, up to now, they put money together, go back to their village, and they do things. They educate those who come from the poor families. They actually went back to those primary schools where they schooled. They built new toilets because the toilets were pathetic. And they put gates and all such things, doors in the classrooms and such. Those people are actually causing a huge impact in society, and they don't have the platform, as you're saying.
Exactly. That's the change we want. Mm-hmm. That's the change that we desire during this period. Now, moving on to our second point. Now, educating, I know we've touched on it, but now educating ourselves on things or the Constitution. What is it that governs us in this country? It's our Constitution. Have we taken time to study or to ask? And that's why I think we have, as the young people, most of us have come to this realization. I don't have to be a doctor, and I can choose to be let's say an artist. But again, as an artist, I need to know, what does the Constitution say about my art? What is written? You find people losing a lot of money and time because they don't know what the Constitution says about them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's true. And the Constitution is the document that runs in a nation, in a jurisdiction, and it determines what happens to you about almost everything that is to do with the governance, and not even the government, even civic atmosphere. If somebody steals from you, what happens to them? What does the Constitution say? You've heard there were uproars about some of the court penalties that have been given by some courts, that somebody has stolen, say, billions of money, but the highest of the penalty they can get from the court is only probably 200,000 shillings. And everybody is like, how? But that's what the Constitution says. When we read the Constitution and we know the Constitution says, if somebody has stolen, and sometimes it's because of the way it is phrased, has committed what they call economic crime, then they will be liable to prosecution and to this kind of sentence or this kind of penalty. So when the judge is making that judgment, he is bound by the Constitution. That's why you hear some of the penalties that are given, they are ridiculous, but it's because that's what the Constitution says. So once we understand the Constitution and we know what needs to be done, then that we are able to act accordingly. I have some friends who are Christian activists, but their activism is on the area of Constitution. For instance, they have helped this country to ensure that alcohol is banned in terms of advertisement. That's why you don't see alcohol advertisement on television, especially what they call threshold hours. That's what they said, no such. They have also banned the issue of they mobilized. What's the right word? They emphasized or followed with the government to ensure that tobacco is banned, and banned in terms of no advertisement. You don't see any advertisement on tele or radio on tobacco, even on newspapers. Yes. They do, and they are the ones who went to the government and told the government, you have to change. Even the way you see advertisement now, I mean, the packaging of the cigarette. You see the package, it has pictures of effects that cigarettes can give somebody who smokes. And they are the ones who actually work so hard to ensure that tobacco companies, they own up to the truth that whatever they are selling to people can affect them, and they have to tell people and warn people. That is important. It's because they went and they realized the Constitution is the one that is allowing these people to sell us poison, and the poison is killing us. Yeah. But if we go back to the Constitution and amend it and work on it, it will make these people to stop. Like, for instance, if corruption, the way it is affecting the country, the other day I was wondering, what can we do? Go back to the Constitution and say, my thinking, if you steal 1 billion, the list of the penalties you can get is double that. And on top of that, the jail term. So such that you steal money from us, you are very careful, because we can sell all that you have and still you can't raise enough. And then we still take you back, to put you to jail. And people will fear. That's what I was thinking. So something like that. We have to understand the Constitution, and not just in one area, but in every area. But for our effectiveness, we need to to narrow our scope so that we are effective. For instance, I was telling my friends who are helping their locality, just helping those kids who come from poor families and the schools where they went through, such a thing. Even us, we need to, as young people, we need to ask ourselves, which area can I work on? And the first thing, for instance, is to read the Constitution. Like now there is PBI, and it has been, doing rounds, the copies. I don't know how many I've read. Actually, there are two types. There is the big one and the abridged, the short one. The short one should be around, I think, 20 or 26 pages, around there. That's the short one, and everybody can read that. You just read when you're in your matatu.
And it's available online.
Yes, it's available.
Yeah.
Actually, it's all over. You just Google, you find it, download it, and you access it. You know what it's about. So that when people are talking about BBI, you know what side they are not mentioning about BBI.
Yeah.
Because there are many parts of the BBI nobody's talking about. True. And especially the politicians, for reasons we all know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And right now, as the youth, you may be thinking, there is no way I'm going to read such a huge document. And right now, there are so many platforms in Kenya. There are youths who have taken that opportunity to educate others. There are podcasts. You can search online podcast on the Constitution. There are lawyers, fully educated, who have taken their time to record certain things in the Constitution and to make them known to us. And also for the BBI, there is this lady, she was vying for a senatorial seat in the last election. She was 23. Her name is Susan Silantoi. If you check her online, she has a podcast and also a YouTube channel. Search Susan Silantoi. She's teaching about BBI currently. So we can't say that we don't have resources. If you can't read, at least you can listen.
Exactly. And one of the, there is an old saying, which is quite unfortunate, that if you want to hide something from an African, hide it where?
In the books.
Hide it in a book.
Yeah.
Because they will never read the book.
Yeah.
And apparently that there is some truth in that. We are not very good in reading. And let's read. Now that we have gone to school, we are educated, we are not like our parents. Let's, not all of us. Some of our parents never went to school, or they never reached the levels that we are in. But let's read, because that's the only thing that can make us get informed.
True. And now moving on, I want us to talk about the tribal card, where I think it's only the politicians who pull that, because when I studied from primary, I remember all the schools that I've been to, they have had so many tribes in them. And my primary was Turkanas and Masais. High school had now Turkana, Masais, Kalenjin, Luos, Kisis, and we don't have that in school until you get out of school, and then there is this political tension. Where does it, tribal tension, where does that come from? And what can we do as the youth to make sure that we will not be influenced by that while it comes to making choices, election choices?
Yeah. It's one of the big elephants in our home, in our house as Kenyans, and the most unfortunate thing that has ever happened to this, one of the most unfortunate things that ever happened to this country is tribalism. Unfortunately, it's a very old problem. It's very old. It has been here even before independence. So the roots are quite deep. But thank God for the young generation. Actually, the young people, we are actually doing very well, because we are not tribal in many ways. Actually, if I look at my friends, we have married across, cross-culturally, and that is something. I tell people that's one of the ways of killing tribalism in Kenya, because if I marry a Kalenjin and I'm a Kikuyu, there is no way those children will identify with any tribe. They will identify with the one tribe called Kenya. So we have to be very deliberate as young people. One, that we will not be incited, because the people inside, as you correctly said, are the politicians. And politicians, they incite us on our tribes only on one ground: when they are looking for our votes. Once they get them, once they get to the parliament or the senate or wherever, when they are making decisions, they make decisions as a team. When they are hiking their salaries, they do that as a team. They don't even remember ati yule akumetoka tribe gani. It is us who suffer. Right now, all these corruption scandals we are hearing, they are all there. We've had names being mentioned, names of this, name of that. I mean, it is in the public domain. You hear names from across, And so this tribalism is just a trick. It's just a card, as you call it, that they pull when they want us to vote for them. Because when a road is bad, is that road bad to the Kambas or the Masais? Who is jumping those potholes? Everybody using that road. When there is no water, like when there is rationing of water, for instance, or there is blackout, does that blackout say sisi tumetumwa kwa kale? Wakikuyu stima iko mingi tunakuja.
Yeah.
It cuts across. And so in fact it's a very backward thinking to be tribal. To be tribal by action or tribal by thinking, it's so backward. When I went to high school, I actually came across this, as you're saying, I came across all these people from other tribes. And I was shocked because the guys from other tribes, actually, they were smarter than me. I realized they ni machopi. Mi hesabu ilikuwa inanikalia sijui nyinyi, ilikuwa inakalia mbaya. But I found these guys. You know, like the one little guy I was schooling with, he was smart. You know, hesabu ni kama kunywa maji kwake. And then I remembered in the village the kind of narratives I had about the Luos. And here I come, I find, wow, these guys are not daft the way I was told. These guys are smart. And I started changing my perspective about other tribes. Most of the things that are said which are tribal, they're actually not true, or they're exaggerated, they're half-truths, and they are always meant to make you look down on the others. But the truth is, the other people are better. For instance, look at who are the people playing football for this country?
Luos,
majority of them are Luos and Luyas. The people who run for this country, majority of them are Kalenjins. So you cannot say or look down on them. Yeah. You see the things they are doing. They are good. In fact, most doctors and engineers in this country, they are also Luos. And that's a fact. We know it. So you cannot say, Luos are like this. But when you go to the hospital, you're the ones you are going to find there to treat you. So we have to be, as young people, we have to resist, fight it, and when politicians come and they bring that issue of tribalism, you shut them, tell them to say something important, because that is not important. So we have to be aware, conscious that this is a problem we have, and I have to fight it, and we have to take steps, and we start with yourself, how you see other people from other tribes.
Exactly. And also, let's hopefully we will not listen to that mtu wetu when it comes to voting. And also, how can what's the best practice when it comes to electing or voting for our leaders? How do we check them and make sure that I'm making the right decision? Because we are supposed to vote. It's good because we are creating change, so everyone should vote as long as you're 18 and above. How should we make the right decision for first, for me, I need this kind of a leader, and also this society that I live in needs this kind of a leader.
You know, apparently when we are making such a decision, God does not expect us to, go beyond what we know or the resources that we have. Just the way when you're going to Nairobi, you go to the main road, and you are there, you're waiting for matatu going to Nairobi. There are so many matatus passing there. You don't pick every matatu that is passing. Actually, they stop and they come to you. But you make a decision based by where they are going, the route they are taking, and sometimes even how they look. Sometimes even the noise of the music. If you're the music person, you jump into that which is blaring. If you're the one who doesn't like I am, you wait for the one which is quiet, and then you jump in. So you do all those. You assess as you stand on the roadside. That's the same thing. If you meet a matatu there which is going the opposite direction, even if it has all the qualities that you look for in a matatu, you cannot go into that matatu because it's not going where you're going. The same with the politicians. I mean, it's so sad and unfortunate. Some of the politicians that we have, and actually some of the politicians that are popular in this country, sadly, they are the wrong people for this country. They are the wrong people for our leadership, for governance, for management of our resources. In fact, it is almost an insult to be led by some of those people. By look of them, how they do things, how they present themselves in public, but we elected them. Why? It's because we choose the people who probably gave us 500 shillings, or they pull that political card. And by the way, in Parliament or in Senate, tribalism doesn't work. There they present issues, policies, bills. Bills, they are not tribal. There is no you can put tribalism in a bill. It has to win the majority. And so for it to win the majority, for them to support it, it has to have a perspective that is cutting across the nation. So this idea of somebody coming telling you, unajua sisi watu hapa, watu wa hii mulima, kama watu wa Kenya tunaitanga watu wa mulima, watu wa huku mulimani, ama watu wa bonde la ufa. Forget those things. Watu wetu ama sisi, policies. Let me tell you, some of the best people that we should be leading this country, they have the mind, they have the patriotism, they have the character, they have the experience, they have the brains, they have gone to school. We don't give them positions to lead us. That's where we are where we are now. So we have, just the way you choose a matatu, or you go to Nairobi and you want to eat in a hotel, you go passing many hotels. Nyingi sana. But there is one you're looking for. There is a type of hotel you're looking for. You enter. Why don't you do the same for a leader or a politician who will govern you for the next 4 or 5 years? I think we don't need to go, any further. Use the same criteria. And if we are honest with ourselves, we know who is the right person. We know.
True. Now, as we go to our last point, those people who I had stopped watching news or reading the newspapers, because there was just, when it came to news, there was these persons told this, then they stole this, and you're like, I can't take this anymore. And until I met a friend who hosts the Word Feast, Wesonga, he has an alarm for news. When it comes to 7 news, he has an alarm for that, and the same time, the same thing with the 9 p.m. news. And I was impressed and shocked, and he made me go back to thinking. No, I first asked him, why are you so committed to this? And he said, for prayer. I need to pray for my country. And I thought, it's true, you can't pray for something that you don't know about.
That's true.
And we are Christians. We are supposed to pray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Billy Graham, one of the greatest preachers of our time, he's late now. He died, I think, 3 years ago or so. And he preached the gospel. In fact, he was voted by Times Magazine as the evangelist of the 21st century. The evangelist of 21st century. And this is a worldly magazine. Why? This guy preached for, I think, close to 50 or thereabout years, preaching across the nations. I don't think there's any country other than probably the young ones that were created the other day. There is no one country that he never preached the gospel. But he was saying that any serious believer, any serious Christian must have a Bible on the right hand and a newspaper on the left. Preach the gospel and pray. Then know, what am I praying for? What am I calling people from? Because the newspapers, they tell us what is going on in our countries. That's where you read about murders, divorces, theft, bad governance, and all those things. So you know what is going on. So when you preach to the people, this Bible you're holding on your right hand, you are telling them, by the way, this is what is happening. And then and this is what Jesus says about what is happening. You become relevant, and you are able now to be in touch with the realities that people are facing. And your gospel can now win souls. So, I want to encourage all of us. Watch news. I know they are stressful sometimes to watch. And there are times I've also felt the same, that really, I don't need to watch these guys. There are those who come, I know they are not telling the truth, they are just speaking lies. And I know they have nothing that will help anybody other than themselves. But I listen to them because I just want to know if they are lying. Let me know how they are lying, what they are lying about, and then I know how to pray about those lies and those bad governance, those politics, and all those things. Because if you don't know, how will you pray? And my people, the Bible says, perish for lack of knowledge. So we have to know what is going on, and we have so that we may be able to pray. And also, mentor people. If you meet somebody who wants to go into politics, like I work with students, there are those days I wouldn't think of encouraging the students to join politics. Nowadays, I do. In fact, not long ago, I think probably a month ago, I was actually instructing them. I was even directing them to a certain politician I know. Tell them, do this, go right to him, mwandiki mwambie, we want to be mentored by you. Because you need to be in politics. Because we need Christians in politics. We need Christians everywhere.
True.
Everywhere. We need Christian drivers with the matatus. We need Christians who are selling burgers on the streets, so that the kingdom penetrates everywhere.
True. Thank you so much for this session. It was enjoyable, and I've learned a lot. And before we conclude, do you have any last words for the youth concerning the current affairs?
Just want to emphasize that make sure that you know everything that is happening. The other thing, please educate your elderly parents, your shosho, your umaus, your gukas. Please educate them on what is going on in the country. Let them move from the old way of looking at other tribes and the old narratives that they have grown up with. Let them know that this is a new generation, it's a new era. We have moved on. So that when they vote, they will vote with that understanding. And since you have gone to school, you know more because you watch news, you learn what is happening in this country. You'll be the best person to help them and change their way of looking at life. And you give them not only a positive and a patriotic approach to things, but also a godly one. And that way, you will change even the old people who are older than you. May the Lord help us all in that area.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul, for coming to Youth Split today. And that has been very educative. And I hope that you'll take that initiative of learning what is going on in the country, because this country is ours. Unless you're planning to go somewhere else, of which even where you're going, you'll have to learn about their policies so that you can know how to live well with people. So you have to learn either way. So please take that initiative and let us work together in this series of youth and politics. Until next Friday, bye.